Okay, that all seems to have worked swimmingly, as far as I can see. Anyway, we're live in all the places that we usually go live. Hello, hi there. We've got three special guests today. Well, we've got two special guests and Paul Lacey. That wasn't even rehearsed. Sorry, Paul. That was below the belt, wasn't it? That was mean and horrible. But we have with us for the first time two new guests, which is really nice. Over there is Adam Lacey from all sorts of things, but most recently, I think, and most importantly, from Split Hero. Adam, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. How about yourself?
Yeah, we're good. Apart from, we spoke about why I'm not feeling great, but we won't go into that. And then, obviously, just down there, we have Paul Lacey. Paul's probably got some kind of poultry-related elevator pitch lined up for us. Go for it, Paul.
The chickens are a bit funny at the moment. One of them's shed all its feathers for no reason. I don't understand why.
Ooh.
It looks really odd.
Is that because it's preparing itself for Christmas, maybe?
Maybe it's doing us a favour.
Saving you a job.
Yeah, it's odd because you'd think it would get more feathers in the winter, but this one has lost all its feathers. But yeah. But I'm from the Dicky Bird studio, and we're a WordPress agency in the UK. And we do two things. We do UX consulting, and then the other thing that we do is WordPress design and development, mainly partnership work these days for other agencies. And I'm also a brand ambassador for RunCloud.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
That's me. Yeah.
Yep. And then over there we have Todd. Todd's the odd one out this week because we're all in the UK, so it's perfectly normal o'clock. Todd, on the other hand, is in North America, so it's stupid o'clock where Todd is. But thank you for joining us, Todd. Do you want to tell us who you are, what you do, and so on?
Well, long time WordPress user. Actually, was working on a WordPress project this weekend. So haven't completely stepped out of the WordPress space. Do a lot of content strategy and content marketing, copywriting type of stuff for online businesses. So that's, and I live in Arkansas, which is a small state in the United States, most famous for Walmart and Bill Clinton.
Ah, yeah, Little Rock. Is he from Little Rock?
Well, he lived there a long time because that's where the governor's mansion is, and he was governor for 12 years. So he
got it.
He was born in Hope. Imagine they really worked on that one. He was born in Hope and grew up in Hot Springs. So I grew up in Batesville, which is the hometown of Mark Martin, who is a champion NASCAR driver. You guys probably have no idea what I'm talking about. So.
Oh no, I know about NASCAR. I don't watch it, but I know about it. We tend to, when it's cars, we watch Formula One.
Yes.
The sort of equivalent.
My friend Rob in Toronto, that's what he watches too. But Mark was a NASCAR driver, and he's retired now. But and I live in Conway now, which is the hometown of Chris Allen, who's I think season 6 winner of American Idol. So you ever heard of that? And where Axiom started, if you're familiar with Axiom. So.
Thank you very much. It just strikes me, Adam, that you didn't get enough time there to tell us what Split Hero is. So tell us what Split Hero is.
Clearly, it's not important, mate. Don't worry. Just gloss over it. Split Hero is an easy, fast, and effective solution for A/B testing in WordPress. It's basically the short and sweet of it.
Yeah. So A/B testing in any WordPress website. Go check it out. Split Hero. Google it, and I'm sure it'll be the first result. Yeah. In fact, somebody Google it and tell us from different parts of the world where it appears. Yeah. So we're joined by at least 3 people who've made some comments. Hi, Devinder. Hi, Alex. And hi, Leo. Let's get on with it, shall we? We're here to talk about the WordPress weekly news. What we do over at WP Builds is we've got a podcast, which we put out every week. This is the homepage. Latest episode is always at the top. But then if you click on this link here, News Archive, then you end up getting to this page. And this page always shows all of the news that we put out. And we're always dealing with this one, the top left one, which this week is entitled Pancake. I always include food types. I'm going to do chicken next week, Paul, just for you. And we're doing the WordPress Weekly News, this one. So if you want to follow along, I think some of them are not interesting enough for us to actually talk about between the three of us, but you never know, maybe they are. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So let's kick off. And first thing, WordPress got updated. By the way, just sort of show of hands, who automatically, out of the four of us, who automatically updates to something like 5.3.1? Do you actually bother to update that, or do you just let WordPress take care of that? I automatically update everything. What about you guys?
I do it, but like not straight away, normally about a week or so later. So,
Really?
Yeah, I do it myself. And to be honest, there's no real reason for that. It's probably just when I get around to it, unless it's a major, something major's happened, then I do it straight away.
That's interesting. I always just automatically update the little point releases. The 5.3 to 5.4, I probably won't, but automatic, says Devinder. Automatic's got 2 T's, Devinder, just in case, That was a joke. It wasn't funny, but it was a joke. Paul, what about you?
Well, it seems that it must be a default setting on a lot of the sites that I've built to automatically update it, because I got a bunch of emails.
Yeah, you get the email
saying it had been updated and everything. But otherwise, I'll hit update in Manage WP without worrying about it.
Yep.
I can't remember the last time anything broke in over a year from hitting update. The only thing that I've ever had is cache issues. I think when I used to use the Breeze plugin, but now I use either Swift or WP Rocket and don't have any problems.
That's interesting.
That was a long time ago.
I can't remember the last time anything broke when I updated, to be honest. I should probably touch some wood somewhere.
The only one I get a bit shifty about updating is WooCommerce, because something always breaks with that.
Okay. I have a wide berth from e-commerce, and so that doesn't really affect me. Anyway, we got a couple of bits of WordPress core type news. This is probably not all that interesting, but WordPress 5.3 has been updated to WordPress 5.3.1. And we've got these security and minor accessibility. And, well, the accessibility enhancements are pretty good. But essentially, if you just sort of scroll through this article, there are things like some buttons weren't available. If you weren't using the default color palette in the WP admin, like this one, it's normally black and blue. Well, if you were using other one like this one, apparently some of the buttons were almost impossible to see. And if your primary concern is accessibility, this was a bit ridiculous, and so it got fixed. And there were some adjustments to the 2020 theme, but nothing major. Just a few little security enhancements which have been listed out here. 4 of them were addressed. So, hopefully by clicking the update button, everything should have just gone swimmingly. And it did for me, completely and utterly swimmingly. So unless anybody's got anything to add to that, anybody? Beulah? All right, let's move on, because I know, Paul, you want to talk about this next one, don't you? You want to talk about WordPress 7.1. Actually, this is pretty cool. I said WordPress, I meant Gutenberg, of course. 7.1. Let's flick to that article. There it is, just in time. Did you notice, by the way, WP Tavern is now called WordPress Tavern? Don't know if that's intentional.
Wow.
Not sure if that's on purpose or if that's by accident.
Oh, yeah.
There it says it.
You're really not sure?
Yeah, I don't know. I would imagine it's on purpose.
Joke, right?
Yeah. So what have we got, Paul? Tell us about this.
So there's some new stuff in the latest Gutenberg 7.1. It wasn't so much the new stuff that I wanted to talk about. It was just I will mention the new stuff. There's a new quite nice modal pop-up to help people understand what Gutenberg is the first time that they're seeing it, which I think is very useful. And also because I've had people come to me and say, I think the website's broke because when I go to edit things, it looks different, and that'll be because they're using the block editor, and it can look very intimidating. They've done something. They've been setting some foundation for the multiple block selection, whereby they're setting the groundwork so that you could sort of almost select 1.5 blocks, especially if it was a text block. So you could cut and paste text a lot easier around different places, because you could find yourself in some situations thinking, I just want to copy this bit of text here, but one's in one block and the other half of a sentence is in another. And I think they've laid some foundations for that. One of the other updates is you can drag in straight into the feature image area in the sidebar. You can just drag an image straight into that. I never knew you couldn't do that, to be honest, before. I've only recently started doing that whole drag it image into it. I've been doing it a stupid long way before, where you actually go and find the image on your computer and do it that way. There's a tables caption thing, but really the thing that, especially being as we're at the end of the year now, really what I was thinking about is that this is like a year in now, and what I can see is that the Gutenberg and the block editor is moving super fast in terms of
fast. Yeah.
I mean, and I can see that this is quite a nice thing for people who are website owners, bloggers, that kind of thing. So the way I feel about it is that if you're a website blogger, you probably quite enjoy all the updates, almost like I enjoy the updates to Beaver Builder or the plugins that I use and everything. It's like, here's another new cool thing. Whereas from my side of things, I'm more concerned about clients and them being disorientated, because I don't think your typical client has the passion like a blogger does, and they're like, great, I can do this new thing. They're more just like, how come the thing that I used to be able to do has changed? What's going on? So I think it shows kind of what the angle was in hindsight now from Matt and the team, to push this Gutenberg and this block editor thing out, thinking about bloggers and writers, and they weren't really thinking about agencies. But we did get the classic editor plugin, so all was fine. So I kind of wish I knew what I knew now a year ago, so I didn't panic about it so much. But it looks like it's going in a really nice direction. They launched with a much different angle than say Vito from WP Feedback, right? He launched his WP Feedback product and it was pretty finished. You could use it and you weren't worried about it. And the changes that came into that product, same with your product, Adam, with Split Hero, it did everything it needed to straight away. And all the changes that you're doing are nice add-ons, bells and whistles and stuff like that. It feels with Gutenberg and the block editor. You could look at the block editor a year ago in the core product and the block editor now, and it'd be very, very different experience. So it's just interesting to see how they've approached it. And that was my thoughts, that it feels like it's all going in a nice direction. We've got the classic editor. So
does anyone know if WordPress Tavern is using Gutenberg to do their blog posts? I'd be curious to know.
Yeah, it looks like it is. The way that the kind of the images are bigger than the text columns and stuff. So I'd guess that it is.
Just looking if there's any of those.
It says WP block image, so.
Yeah, and I'm looking for WP paragraph anywhere, but find WP paragraph. No, perhaps not. Yeah, I would imagine they are, but there's me trying to see whether they are or not. Yeah, I completely get you, Paul. The one thing that I got out of it, I thought this bit here that I'm showing on the screen was a really cool idea. The whole modal thing. Apparently, it's just the sort of very beginnings at the moment. It's got like 3 different screens which show the bare minimum. I don't know if you use something like this on Split Hero, Adam. Do you have like a walkthrough on first load of the platform? Do you give them like a tooltip walkthrough?
Yeah, do you know what? We haven't. It's something that I've been looking into, because it's actually built into Intercom with all things. And they allow you to do that kind of thing where you can give people a walkthrough. The reason I haven't so far is because it is so simple, but it is something we should be doing. So far, I've been refining documentation really, and to be honest, we've just been working on some of the new features more than anything else at the moment. So, but it's definitely something that would be quite nice.
Well, Justin's take on this was that it's really simple. There's three windows, if you like. You go from this one to the next one to the next one, and you're done. That's it. And he's saying that in the future it'll probably have a little bit more. By the way, this one catches me out all the time. I don't know if any of you are using the block editor and do copy and paste. If you copy and paste exactly what you see there on that screen, and then go and Command V on the Mac somewhere else, it picks up the sort of the encapsulating comments. So WP paragraph as a comment. and you can't. The only way to circumvent that up until now was to copy one paragraph at a time from the full stop to the in the first paragraph, and then go back and do it a second time. Because I actually do that for various different reasons each and every week, and so it's been a bit of a mess actually. So the idea that with this one you can, shift or command copy and then just take a little bit and it won't bring along all that commenting, that's kind of cool. I think that's quite nice. And the whole drag and drop thing. Yeah, Paul, you didn't know about that? You've just been
I didn't. I've always done it the old long way.
Do you, when you've got like a button where you need to upload an image, do you do that as well? Like, let's say, for example, you want to upload a plugin. There's the button where you can find the file for the zip. That you can drag the zip onto that button as well.
I normally do drag and drop for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's the same kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Well, good. I'm glad that they've put that in. And now you can just do it right there in the sidebar, which is quite cool. Don't know about these table captions. Never used the tables in Gutenberg. But there was this one as well, Paul, which I don't know if you noticed. You can now, they've enhanced the ability to, with the navigation block. So as far as I'm aware, this is the individual items in the menu. You can left align them all in their container, or you can center align them or right align them, which I suppose is kind of cool. I don't think it means the whole menu, so put the whole menu in the middle or to the right or to the left. I think it's just the individual little items, like you can see down here. I guess they're center aligned, judging by that. But yeah, some nice little updates. Pretty pleased with that. Yeah.
I must admit, I was one of the skeptics for Gutenberg for a long time, and it's a much nicer blog writing experience or editing experience. For Split Hero, we moved when we'd done a migration from one server to another. I actually changed all of the posts over to the block editor at the same time.
Yeah.
Just because it feels so much better, really, than what was previous. I don't even really bother installing the classic editor anymore because with Beaver Builder, it hijacks it anyway.
Yep.
So, if you're just using Beaver Builder and want that for your blog post, that's kind of it. You don't need to install anything else.
I guess there's one person amongst us who actually writes more than any of us put together, and that would be Todd. Do you use it, Todd, all the time? You still?
No. Most articles I write right now are in the main WP site, and they don't have it enabled. And my workflow is a little different because I write my articles in Google Docs and put it over in there. And I have experimented on either the copy file or my demo site a few times of what that would be like, and I can't remember if it just takes, like, if you have 2,000 word article, does it make it one block? I can't remember now. But that could be, it depends on what you want to do. I have seen from the beginning, as someone who does content a little bit more often, what could be with Gutenberg, and certainly I've followed the conversation, especially on Twitter, a lot with some of the issues that's happened. And I think you guys are right. If they'd had that introductory thing at the beginning, the good and the bad about WordPress is it's used by such a wide variety of people. I mean, we have developers doing business sites for people, all the way to high profile bloggers and everything in between. And yeah, you're right. The bloggers are probably going to be like, oh, cool, I can do a drop cap, which would be kind of cool. Actually, I would like to see and use Gutenberg. The time constraint to learn, it was a learning curve, right? Do that. And so I run a local site as well, local to the community I'm in. And there's a place where I could make it maybe a little bit more of a reader-friendly thing, experience for people. And I think that's where Gutenberg could come in handy. I haven't made that transition yet, so yeah, there's a lot of writing there as well, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
And I did several long articles, 2 or 3 long articles like this last year at Copyflat, 2,000 plus articles. And so I think the formatting, sometimes we get in a hurry with our content. It's like we're in a mentality of more is better, and really that's not the case. It's better is better, and sometimes we should probably slow down with the content. And I think being able to write a good, strong post and then take the time to format it in a way that's reader friendly and that kind of thing. And I think Gutenberg can help with that. I just haven't wrapped my brain around quite how I can use it yet. And it's like Paul saying, oh, I didn't know we could do that because I've always done it this way. Well, we've done something for 10 years, So we have roundabouts in this little town. I think y'all have those in UK, right?
Yeah.
Roundabouts, what we call them. And, people complain, and then there's some people love it, but I think the younger drivers love it. They adapt pretty well. I'm trying to explain to people, imagine being 60, 70 years old. You've driven one way for 50, 60 years, and all of a sudden, instead of a four-way, you've got to navigate this traffic circle. Well, that's what it's like when you've done something one way a long time, and then you have this new thing, and you're trying to figure out how to do it. And I want to adapt Gutenberg going forward. And so it's just a matter of figuring out how it works in my workflow and how it works. And I also just kind of sat back because I knew they were improving. Kind of one of those things we launched. They just kind of launched and then improved as we went. And I know there was other issues with accessibility and stuff like that. And I just kind of waited to see if I have been in watching the Gutenberg blocks come out, Jeffrey and some of the stuff his company's putting out. And I just see a lot of really cool things coming down the pipe for that. And I did think the editor needed a new experience, because if you go do an article at Medium, LinkedIn, for a while we had the Air Story, which is something copyhackers put out that we could write articles in. They all use something similar to what Gutenberg does. This tiny MCE, whatever that WordPress has used for 15 years, it needed to evolve and get better. So I know it's been a pretty frustrating experience for a lot of people, especially when you're a developer and you're dealing with a customer who is like, what is this? I can't do it, Yeah, I totally understand. And so it's just kind of been a frustrating change, but I think it's one that'll be better in the long run.
When you copy, so you work in Google Docs, how do you get it from Google Docs to WordPress? Do you have a service, like a third-party service? Because I used one for a while where essentially you logged in. I think it was called Wordable.
Yeah, Wordable.
Where you clicked a button and it just did it. It just pulled it all in, pulled in all the images, pulled in all the the H tags and everything. It just worked. It was great. Yeah,
even when I was using Air Story, and they basically sunset that, although it still exists. They had a plug-in which you could do it, but I just copy and paste. So what I do, and I try not to format too much in the Google Doc. I do it for my own purposes, so I know what I'm looking at.
Right.
But I will copy what's in the Google Docs, and I will go to the text tab so that I'm copying it straight. I'm not pulling any of the formatting over. So it's like non-formatted copy, and then I go back into the view tab and I make my formatting. So I try not to do too much formatting in the Google Docs because I'm going to have to redo it again. So I don't worry about H1 tags too much unless I'm doing it to show myself, what I want to do.
Yeah.
Get it into the WordPress editor.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I do it. I mean, I don't mess with images until I get it into the
Okay.
WordPress thing.
That Wordable thing worked with images. It was just great. You basically
it was good. I tested it, and I don't remember it being free. I think that's the same guys that didn't they start Grow and Convert? I don't remember.
I'm not sure. And there's another one called Story Chief, which I used for a while, but that had the capacity to push it out to everything. So Medium, LinkedIn, I don't know, all these other platforms. Anyway,
you used to could just put the link in. I haven't done a Medium post in a while, but you could take the link and put it in there, and it would just import it in.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Cool.
Nice insight there. Thank you. Couple of things, just real quick. This one, if you're thinking about going to WordCamp Europe and you want to speak there, then this article is really quite useful. It just tells you how you can kind of what's the word? So that you submit your submission to talk at the event with the best intention possible. In other words, if you follow the advice in this article, you've got as good a chance as anybody else of actually winning, because there's loads of people that apply and only a small number of actual speaking slots available. And so follow that. And the other one is just this one. I always found these kind of, I have the design capabilities of a cushion. If you put a cushion on a computer next to me, and we were both told design a logo, the cushion would do just as well as I would. So articles like this are always fascinating to me. How somebody gets out of their brain a really interesting idea for a logo, and it's the WCEU logo, which I kind of like. Just all these like photos, inspiration, and stuff going on. It's kind of a nice, simple little design in the end. Where does it get? Right to the bottom? There it is. That's what we got. But all of the things that go through, you see, I look at that and I just think it's 7 dots and a dash with the WordPress logo encapsulated in a square. But no, look at all these things that happen. It's great. Just fascinating. I'm so not in the loop with this kind of stuff. And then Paul, I think you want to do the next one. We're talking about plugin. Man alive, there was a lot of plugin news this week. Paul, do you want to talk us through the first couple? The first one is Toolset.
Yeah,
they've had an update.
Block. Yeah, it's carrying on from talking about Gutenberg and the block editor. So Toolset have been working super hard, from what we can tell, to reinvent their plugin. Really, it's still backwards compatible, but now. So for anyone who doesn't know what Toolset is, it's like a cross between advanced custom fields and a page builder. It's a really powerful plugin. I do like it. I used to use it a lot. And one of the things that used to be quite tricky about it was that the user interface was actually really difficult, and you could easily get lost in there. They've rebuilt the way that you build the front end out by leveraging blocks from the block editor and Bootstrap 4. So you don't have to use the Bootstrap stuff, but you can very quickly create lovely layouts using the block editor and then assigning Bootstrap classes to it. So it's really cool. I would love to dive in and have another look at it, but I don't feel that I've got any need anymore to change my own personal set of tools. I didn't want to say toolset there. But for anyone who is still using Toolset, it's probably, which is a lot of people, it's probably a really nice new way to do things. I'm not sure if everyone who did use Toolset will be 100% happy though, because one of the things that I did used to like about Toolset was hand coding the output, and now it's gone from hand coding to more of a visual style where you need to add your own classes and everything. So I wonder if it's helping people in one way but holding them back in another. I'm not sure, but it's great because they've got rid of the problem of their old UI and gone along with the new blocks user interface, which has been improving all of the time. But they will have to keep up with the way that the block editor keeps changing to make sure that they don't have compatibility problems, I would imagine.
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, really. That I think they were always had an issue with the UI and how things work. I mean, both me and Paul, we spoke about it a million times. I think I've always tipped my hat to Toolset for how powerful it is, but to get me to use it, you probably have to drag me kicking and screaming.
I've heard you say that before.
It's so powerful, but at the same time, it can be so frustrating. And the documentation was never that great. And you'd find they've updated the plugins, the UI had completely changed, but documentation hadn't. So you literally didn't have a clue what was going on. So I'm really interested to see what they're doing. But like you say, maybe, what they're doing is, I mean, just looking at the options in this video now, what they do is so complex. Like, how many options are they going to have to put into the block editor to, there was a lot there just looking at that small snippet of that video. You can only make it so simple. So I do wonder, how well they'll do to integrate all the bits and pieces, and whether, if it's too little too late, I don't know, compared to what some of the page builders are doing and sort of encroaching on most of that turf these days.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think they've done a really good job. I mean, I've chatted to Amir, the CEO, about this, and the principle is to have Gutenberg as like the number one candidate. For a while they had their own layouts solution, which just didn't get any widespread adoption, and then they kind of went into the back pockets of the likes of Beaver Builder and Elementor, and then figured out that was a difficult one to juggle because you just don't have the capacity to tell them what to do. And so you're always kind of on the back foot. So they've now obviously just, they've got a clear idea. They're going to use the block editor as their platform of choice from now on. And the simple thing that they were showing there, which was like an archive of a custom post type, dead easy to do. The menus just hop in from the right hand side as you'd expect, and you fiddle with things. So to me, it just almost feels like a page builder, an Elementor. But the principle is that you can use it with any theme. They do actually recommend, I think they recommend Generate Press and a couple of other themes. I can't remember, but there's a couple of themes that they recommend.
And Astra. Generate Press, Ocean, and Astra is who
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But it looks good to me. I like it. And obviously making things point, click, drag type kind of interface is just going to satisfy an awful lot of people. And then we have this other one, Paul, which you wanted to talk about. This I do like what these guys are doing. Sorry, yeah, keep going.
Yeah, it feels to me that it wouldn't be a bad idea for them to potentially rebrand Toolset now that they've gone in this completely different direction.
Yeah.
And try and gain some new traction, new blood to their fan base, whether that's rebrand and a new lifetime deal. They used to have a lifetime. It's just a thought. There's a lot of WordPress big plugins doing fairly large cost lifetime deals, and I feel like Toolset, I don't know the numbers, but it just feels like Toolset started to fall to the wayside a bit in the last few years, and I don't see people going, hey, I've just started using Toolset. I see people who are hangers on, but obviously I'm in a bubble, so I don't see everyone, and it might be popular in certain circles. But yeah, rebrand and a new deal to try and gain some new advocates and fans, maybe.
Yeah, they're very profitable. I know that the company, that the sort of parent company is called On The Go Systems, and they have WPML as I think is the big cash earner.
The number one profit.
Yeah, and obviously Toolset is kind of secondary to that in terms of turnover and what have you. But they're able to support 90 members of staff. Completely distributed company. Amir and one other chap are in Israel, and the rest are all over the place. But 90 people, that's a lot.
No easy feat.
Yeah, really. So there are obviously a lot of people using it, and I think a lot of people who use it who want to do very complicated things, but just simply can't be bothered to do it with the sort of PHP. Well, that was the wrong way of describing it. Would rather use a point and click type HTML with shortcodes kind of thing. Anyway, it's all backwards compatible. So, even if you don't like the look of this, you can still use the old way of doing it. But it feels to me like they're turning a corner. I wish them every success because I like the new look of it, to be honest.
Yeah, very interesting. I think our rebrand will do them a lot of good. Yeah, I do think that.
And then Paul, you wanted to talk about this is not. I just really like this. 5 updates in one hit from PowerPack. If you use Beaver Builder, this is for you. The guys over at PowerPack have put 5 things out for us on the same day. Paul, do you want to go through it or?
Yeah, well, I'm reminiscing of the year again, but it feels like we've had some brilliant products, not just in Beaver Builder, but just in the WordPress space in this last year. Split Hero is one of them for starters. Some of the things that we can do now are just brilliant. Derpy feedback, Split Hero, the way that Beaver Builder has been developing, the way that Elementor has been developing. I feel that Beaver Builder is starting to gain some momentum once again. And I've noticed that these PowerPack and UABB have been fairly active in the last 6 months compared to how they were maybe the previous 12 months to that. So this new update from PowerPack, it gives us 5 modules. You've got the WP Fluent Forms styler. So we had before in PowerPack, I think, probably a styler for Gravity Forms and some of the other plugins.
Yeah.
And then this is basically just giving us the same facility to style Fluent Forms as well, which was a plugin that was on a deal recently that a lot of people dived in on. We've got a really good module, File Download, which basically what that does, it's a button module, but when you click it, it forces the file to download rather than to pop open in a browser tab or something like that. So it forces it to your download tray, which is really, really useful.
Yeah, really useful, actually. I've used it already.
Doing a website at the moment that has a resources section, and there is, we use a custom post type, but there is no link to the post. It's a direct link to a file. This would be really useful to, especially if I assume it works with Thema, Beaver Thema as well. Yeah. Star rating looks like just a rebranded version of the icon list, to be honest. So I don't know if that's really adding much value, but I haven't really looked into it as much detail as I should. Off the box is nice, especially again for Beaver Thema users to be able to put a nice styled author box on there. And then the one that I like is this reviews one. So if you have a look at the reviews one, if you click into that one, Nathan, check out the demo of the reviews module. You've got there's something to note in here that I know Adam saw this earlier as well. We were talking about it. If you scroll down, you'll see some recognizable names in there.
So, that's not Bernard Greneau.
It's not. And then scroll down even further. This is the best.
Lee Jackson.
Lee Jackson announced recently from Agency Transformation and that he had lots of changes in store.
Yeah, it looks a lot different there.
He really does look different.
So this is the new, which kind of looks like a really nice kind of testimonials module as well, but with a kind of cards type layout, and then you got this 3D one that Lee Jackson is sporting on here as well. It's lovely design. It's lovely. Really simple design possibilities in there. So thank you, PowerPack, for those. They're really nice.
It's just fascinating to me that they would choose to put them all in one hit as opposed to sort of trickle them out, one every week for the last 5 weeks or something. It's interesting. Yeah, I just think that these guys, and I feel you're right, Paul. I feel like the Beaver Builder space did go a bit quiet, but it feels to me like it's sort of hotting up again. I don't have any data for that, but it just feels that way.
They had a blog post recently where they literally said in the blog post, the most recent one, that the pace that they'll be developing in 2020 is going to be a lot more active than they were before.
Is there any reason for that?
I think they've been refining the team quite a lot.
I think they've hired someone new. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, they've hired some new people, and then to get the lead developers out of management and back into development and stuff like that.
Right.
So, and I think they've just acknowledged that they maybe needed to that people want some more pace, but as usual they're very careful and they do things in the right way, which is one of the benefits rather than a problem for a lot of us. But it'll be good to see where that goes.
Yeah, I must admit, compared to other page builders, one thing, you can say a lot of bad things about Beaver Builder, so to speak, in terms of comparison to some others with more bells and whistles. But you can never fault how solid the platform is, and I never hesitate pressing the update button or anything like that. I just know, generally speaking, nothing's going to break. It's a solid platform, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon, and that's all I need, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
good point. New version, is it 1.3? Is it 1.3? Can't remember which version it is. It's just another one of those really nice. Yeah, it's 1.3. No, it isn't 2.3. It's one of those really nice refinement releases again. You'd have to use it to see those things, but when you go back into a module, the tab that you were in last time is open again, and you got these copy and paste things from one module to another. And I used it on a site.
Really nice.
Yeah, and it saved me. I was doing a late night session. It saved me a good hour, so I got to bed before midnight rather than after midnight, thanks to a few nice little tweaks. So that's the kind of stuff I'd love to see more of.
One of the big things for me in the upcoming Thema update is the full integration to BigCommerce, because for me, I'm ditching WooCommerce as much as possible. And BigCommerce, I've been on the agency program BigCommerce for about a year now, and keeping things on track of their WordPress integration. And it's fantastic. Like literally, them two collabing together, it could be really, really big things, honestly. The way it just integrates into Thema the same way Woo would, but you actually have a proper e-commerce platform powered behind it. So you've got a customer section, you've got a proper CRM, you've got everything you would expect from a proper e-com solution. So I think it's got a lot of potential.
That could be a big thing for next year because it's not exploded yet, has it? It's not like everyone's talking about it. There's a few people like yourself who know about it and have tried it and are excited, and then not a lot of people have. Everyone is still looking to Shopify or WooCommerce, and then there's this sleeping giant. It feels like this collaboration between WordPress and
they put a lot of money behind it. I tell you that BigCommerce have put a lot of money behind it.
Yeah.
We'll no doubt be talking about that in the news in the weeks to come. For now, though, just a couple of quick ones. Don't know if you saw this one. Automatic acquired this plugin a little while ago called Zero BS CRM. Apparently, when they acquired it, it only had about 1,000 installs. Now, I may have misremembered that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. And the intention was they looked at it, they wanted to acquire some kind of CRM, and they like the code of this, and they like the people who were doing it. So anyway, they've now obviously taken it on because they've updated it to version 3.0. Never used it. Are you guys ever going to use a CRM inside of WordPress, or are you going to pay, the likes of HubSpot or some other platform to do that for you?
Yeah, me personally, no. I just don't think a CRM belongs in WordPress at all, really, personally speaking, anyway. I do remember when Zero BS first come about, actually, and the guys behind it, and they seemed really nice guys, and they seemed really friendly, and they seemed to have a clear idea of what they wanted to do. And I didn't install it, but I was just like, man, it just doesn't feel right, sort of living inside WordPress as such. It's not for me, personally.
Yeah. What about you, Todd?
I have the HubSpot one, which I don't think I've looked into it inside of that in several weeks. Rob Cairns kind of put me on that, and I think it's pretty solid. The free one. I know when you try to do more stuff, you have to pay, but we usually do a lot of those things through our email software anyway. So I don't know. I might check. I might look at it again. The local site that I run, I'm curious. I'm thinking about what I want to use for that. A friend of mine who does something similar to mine uses the Zoho CRM. Yeah. Or at least he told me that at one time. And I don't know if I want to use HubSpot for that, since I already kind of use it for Copyflight. And I think you got to have a certain amount of customers to make it really necessary to have a CRM.
Totally.
Yeah, and Adam probably has to have one for the customers with Split Hero and that kind of thing. But
you'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, and so with the website copy framework, I rolled that out using Gumroad, so I have all these email addresses. I haven't put those in a CRM. I guess I should consider doing that. I hadn't thought about that. So yeah, it's a matter of relationship. I mean, CRM is a tool. If you can't, and I'm talking to myself here as much as anything. But I know before we came on, I was talking about how many small businesses don't have a CRM of anything. And I hear what you're saying, Adam, but I wonder sometimes maybe if a very simple one in a WordPress dashboard might be, helpful to some degree for a small business. But, we're in the business of helping people generate leads and customers. And if you set up a site for them, and the way of doing that is to get people to contact you, to do sales calls, to do get on the email list and that kind of thing. Where do you got to send them? Some people contact and they don't sign up for the email newsletter. Well, they're still kind of a prospect. So do you use your HubSpot or Zero BS? What do you use? I don't know the answer. I've tried a lot of them. I haven't ever been really very comfortable with anything in particular. HubSpot's probably been the closest for comfort for me. I don't know. What do you guys use for CRM, since we're talking about this?
Well, it's funny, Todd. You said how many small businesses don't even know or have a CRM, and it's surprising how many digital agencies have way too many CRMs.
Yeah.
I've had about 15 of them, but I think in the end now I think a lot of people in our space who've tried these different things are tending to use extended email autoresponder systems as a CRM, because they're actually, for me, I'm not making notes on who I've spoken to and stuff like that, but I have got a couple of automations going on in Engage Pay, which is the one I really have liked, which is very similar to Active Campaign. I think I don't use hardly any of the really advanced features.
Which one do you say you use?
It's called Engage Pay.
Oh, okay.
Engage Pay. Yeah, I honestly, I've wasted so many hours comparing the different CRMs, and that is the one that just keeps coming back. And so I've decided I've just got to get rid of all that money that I spent on all the different CRMs and just let that go and then stick with this one. And it does do some nice automations for me, so that when someone goes through one of my little funnels on my white label page, it automatically sends them a couple of emails, and I'm just using it that way. Plus it logs them in and tags them as white label and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, I suppose if you've got a great big sales team, then this sort of stuff is crucial, isn't it? Because you just have to keep track of who's spoken to who. And
what about
you're using no BS CRM for that kind of situation. I've got a feeling that this is going in the way that, first of all, I don't think they'll keep calling it no BS CRM, because you know, I think that what we're going to see is that within the next year, it's going to be called Woo CRM, and that it will be some kind of add-on for WooCommerce, so that you can, you can say to clients, you know, here is the shop, and then you can use Woo CRM to do automated emails to your customers. And so I think that that's the direction that they're going. I think that that's their plan, which would be an actual useful thing, you know, for as long as you kept it quite basic. If you were selling WooCommerce websites for clients, then it would be a fairly no-brainer to have an easy way to give them the ability to do some automations in there.
I mean, if you're using WooCommerce to sell products or services, then yeah, absolutely it would be. There's already something in there. I mean, it's been a while since I've looked at a WooCommerce site, but I mean, they keep record of who bought stuff. So in the back, it's not very pretty, but it's there. It's functional. But yeah, you're right. They're probably going to find a way to connect it to outbound emails of some kind. So I always thought that if I had the money, I would use Active Campaign.
But
I'm on Miller Lite right now, and I can do auto responders real well with that. It's pretty easy to use. So
I've got a client using MailerLite for a CRM, and we've hooked it up to their WordPress site. The WordPress site uses Restrict Content Pro, and it hooks up to MailerLite through Adobe Fusion, which is a fantastic piece of software. And but the thing is, it's all right for us that we kind of know the main CRMs. A lot of us do. But your average person, your average kind of small business owner, there is hundreds now. They don't know where to start. So if they kind of come in via WordPress and then it turns out to be called Woo CRM, it might be a no-brainer for them. So it's probably a smart move for Automatic to buy this, and they'll probably make a lot of money out of it in the long run.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I can see a healthy subscription come in, like you say. Yeah.
Now, when I start selling services and even sponsorships and stuff for Conway Scene, that's a little different than using something like MailerLite, although I'm sure I can do some of that as well. But so I don't know. I may just open up a HubSpot account for that. I don't know. I already got one for Copyflat. So
yeah, I mean, for me, for one of my other businesses that doesn't require anything crazy, we actually just use Airtable, and we've got a bunch of tables that sort of interconnect. I didn't actually see what the whole big deal was with Airtable to start with, and the more I sort of dived into it and played with it, I was actually, this is pretty cool. So we've got like a whole booking, ordering system, tracking customers and orders and all that kind of stuff, just all built into Airtable, and it's completely free. Which is absolutely perfect.
People have already made templates for that too, so it's not like you have to reinvent the wheel. I've been using ClickUp. I think Adam's actually the first person I heard talk about it.
Yeah.
ClickUp was really nice, and there's a lot of features in there. Technically, you could use that for a CRM as well. But I'm thinking about with Conway Scene, I'm liable to have somebody else who might do some sales apart from me. So it probably needs to be a SaaS type deal where they can log in too. So I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
We're Split Hero. We use we don't actually use a standalone one. We actually use Drip. So although I mean, for a long time everyone knows it as an email marketing software, but I know they now sort of brand themselves as an e-commerce CRM, whatever that means. But it just because it's so heavily baked into our products, and it integrates with Stripe and everything like that. Literally, like everything, any automation I could ever dream of, like I can pretty much handle. And with the Stripe integration, like I can monitor the value of customers in terms of how much, how long they keep subscribing for, when they cancel, I can send automations. When they do something, I can send an automation. It's fantastic. We've got some really complex workflows we're starting to work through that really do make a difference.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of barrier now, isn't it? You've got to have those sort of complicated automation and increasingly with some kind of visual interface to drag a line from one thing to another thing, and tagging and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know if this does any of that. So wait.
Well, that's the thing. And I was looking at Drip real quick. I think you're going to see emerging of CRMs with the email comment or email software as we go, and that's why I'd always thought ActiveCampaign and Drip look like good solutions for that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who spend quite a lot of money on ActiveCampaign and are very, very, very happy to pay it.
Mm-hmm. I know Drip's not the cheapest, and I did try some others, but the Drip API for us was far more robust. Just happened to be, so it was a little bit easier. But it's simple things like we started from the platform. We was getting a lot of people showing up that don't necessarily actually start a campaign or connect a domain or do anything. So they sign up for an account and seemingly do nothing. So we've got stuff that pings Drip to say if they actually started doing anything, and if not, we can send them a sequence to say, "Are you stuck? Do you need help?" Like that kind of stuff. So it's really clever.
What a nice conversation that was. Yeah, that was good. We should have an episode just about CRMs, it would seem. It's clearly a massive conversation to be had. I'm just going to change the gear a bit and go back to this, which is, in this case, Element. I'm going to do this real quick. Elementor, if you are a subscriber, you've got a brand new one of their monthly template kits. It's called the Travel Template Kit. They release a whole bunch of point, click, drag, rows and whole page templates every month, and this is the new one. Looks like that, basically. So it's designed specifically for the sort of travel niche, but obviously you can repurpose it to whatever you like. They've also updated the new color picker. This is a nice little feature. I know that in Beaver Builder you can do something like this, but I don't think it's quite as well. It might take half a second longer each time you want to do it. Essentially, if you want to pick that green color and use it forevermore, you just click that little plus added to this palette at the top, and then you can drag them out of the palette and they go into a bin and you can reorder them. So I just think that's a tiny little thing, but kind of cool. And they've got a dark mode as well. So their UI changes from this to this, and you consume slightly less energy, and you get to look dead cool, because all the cool kids apparently are using dark mode. What else have we got? Yeah. Paul, you wanted to talk about this. This is cool.
It is cool. Very briefly, it might be difficult to explain it without watching the video.
Very hard to explain.
Yeah. So this is an third-party add-on for Beaver Builder that is way too expensive for most of us to buy. It is $15 for lifetime.
It's
access.
Ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's really clever what it does. It's a great...
It is. So in Beaver Builder and a lot of page builders, you've got a certain amount of breakpoints. So in Beaver Builder, you've got 3, and that can be problematic, often with especially the middle one, the tablet type view. So you can see, Nathan, on the video that you got there, there's 4 modules inside a row or a column there. So what you can do, this add-on uses the power of Flexbox with a visual interface for you to do it, to be able to say, okay, I've got a couple of breakpoints. At this breakpoint, these 4 modules that are inside this column, I want them to behave like that, like this, which might be 4 in a row. It might be 1 at the top, 2 below, 2 at the top, 1 below. I know there's 4, so I've lost the maths there. But so
no, it's 5 now. You're all right.
So, for example, it'd be really useful for styling and laying out simple things like call to action boxes with text over to the left, text over to the right, and having and fixing that problem that you often get in that middle breakpoint, especially where something just doesn't quite look right at certain aspects. So I was talking to the guys at Beaver Builder over for a long time saying, do you think we'll ever get another breakpoint? And I'm not sure that we will, but this means I don't need one, quite honestly. It's quite easy to use, especially if you watch the videos and just have a play around with it. And I used it already on a site, and it's helped on a particular site I'm working on today, actually. And I was looking forward to work today because I knew I was going to be using this.
Do you have to learn the sort of the class names for Flexbox in order for it to work, or is there sort of like a button that you can press? How deep do you need to go?
There's buttons, so yeah, you can. It's you kind of need to probably. Sorry, have a cheat sheet of some sort. I'm so excited about it. It's emotional. It'd be useful to have to hand a Flexbox cheat sheet so you can see what's going on and so you can imagine what you need to do. But I think it's one of those things that if you can imagine what the layout is that you want, then you'll probably be able to achieve it quite quickly.
Yeah,
and the payoff will be so. Yeah, for anyone who wants that ability, they probably do know what Flexbox is. For anyone who doesn't even know what Flexbox is or CSS Grid, they're probably not too fussed about that advanced layout anyway. So this is a perfect tool for the right people.
There's a good example right there. So these are five columns, which could all be in a row,
and they all
one row, or you could have three and you could have 3 and 3 and 1, or 4 and 3, and it just makes it trivially easy to do. And page builders make this sort of stuff really easy, but they also confine you into what's possible with what's available. And so, yeah, this is great. Oh, thank you, Paul. You've explained it way better than I did. Mind you, I was trying to do it in audio form only, which is
difficult without looking at
which is kind of really impossible. WP Offload Media now has a health check report. All I'm going to say about that is if you send emails off your own server, get something like this sends them via Amazon SES, and now they give you a summary of how well those emails have gone out. So if you sent 1,000 and 7 got opened, it'll tell you that kind of stuff. And then Todd, this is one I think you wanted to look at, Publish Press. I don't use anything like this because largely it's me typing stuff and I press publish when I'm ready. But this is more for your, I guess, teams who want to just make sure that every article is finished properly.
Yeah, it's definitely Publish Press is a really nice little, I use it on Conway Scene, although most of the time I'm the one publishing, so it's kind of overkill. But I have it there because I envision maybe one day more people are going to actually publish. But I think if you have some kind of a style guide, I noticed, I think somebody had a sample checklist, and one thing was like, make sure you spell WordPress correctly, with both capital W and a capital P, little stuff like that, best practices, that kind of thing. Some of it to me is like some of those things like between 2 and 5 categories, whatever. But yeah, the feature image, excerpt has text, things you want to do, things that you want to accomplish before you hit publish. And it's customizable from what I can tell. So I haven't had a chance to put it on my demo site and test it out, or I guess I could put it on the Conway Scene site and test it out since I already have Publish Press. But it's and I've been meaning to get to pay for the premium because I like the plugin, even though like I said, I have multiple users in there, but hardly anybody logs in but myself. So I've gotten to I'm doing a guest article, which will probably go up this week from a team, and they just sent it to me in Word, and I put it into myself. But I gave them a author box, so they got an author box and all that. So it's a good. The regular free Publish Press plugin has some really cool features. It does have a calendar, so if you're trying to schedule out stuff and there's multiple people looking, and then you can also do essentially content roles. Like if you got somebody who's an editor, that kind of thing. Yeah, I know most of us, it probably really wouldn't. But if you have a team member, and I used to work with an agency, and you have multiple people going in, if you got some things that you want to see done before you hit publish, things like optimize Yoast or whatever, or rank math or whatever you're using, those little things like that. Oh, you need to have a you need to have a keyword or whatever, whatever it is you want to accomplish. So I like the fact it's customizable. They give you some examples of what to put in there, but obviously not every website is using Yoast, so you might be using something different. But yeah, I think for a team situation, it's fantastic. You got somebody responsible for putting out the content, and kind of, you have like an editor or maybe above it, a meta editor or whatever.
Yep.
You can do that right there. And I think there's notifications on there as well. We have used that when somebody else was working with me a little bit more often. Hey, it's ready to go, that kind of thing. So
yeah, I mean, the main story here is that this is now free. This checklist portion of the plugin.
I think it was an add-on before.
Yeah, that's right. It was a premium. You had to sign up for their premium service, and now this is part of the free version. One of the things I thought it would be useful for is when you've just got a custom post up with a load of meta fields, and then you don't really want to make them required, but you do want to kind of draw attention to them. So there's a whole bunch of stuff down here. All right, it's not required, but wouldn't it be good if? And just putting together this WP Builds News thing, there's probably like 6 or 7 little steps. Several of them have got nothing to do with WordPress, so it might be like scheduling a Twitter post or something like that. And, just having some manual to-do list, which auto-populate. Just thought it was quite nice. And the fact that
you realize how much you do when you have to explain it to somebody else, right?
Yeah.
You're like, don't forget to share this to Twitter. Yeah. I've got, on Conway Scene, I have a plugin that Rob Cairns told me about, which auto publishes to my Google My Business page. And being a local site like that is pretty important. So, just little things like, make sure you hit the notification to share to Google My Business, and so,
yeah. Some of them I think you can make mandatory. It won't publish unless you do it, and I think some of them are just kind of advisements. Anyway, great, nice plugin. I'm afraid, Jeffrey, we're going to have to skip through very quickly. Jeffrey's got this new, Jeffrey Carandang from Editor's Kit has got Share a Block. And this article introduces, as it says, brand new way to share and download free Gutenberg block and template designs. And just sort of scroll down. Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't really got time to go into this one. Maybe we'll hijack this one and do it next week. I feel bad because I said that I would mention it, and I just don't think we've got time this week, because I do want to dwell on this one. I know we're out of time, but if you've still got a few minutes, guys, are you happy to go over this one very quickly? UABB and Ultimate Add-ons for Elementor. Basically the same problem this week. This one shouted at me this week from every which way. I got emails from Brainstorm Force, and it turns out I'm probably subscribed under a variety of different email addresses because I kept getting different variations of the same email. And then I think all of the security plugins, so things like WebArcs and iThemes and Malcare, they all emailed me as well, because I think this was pretty serious. I don't know if one of you wants to take it on, but just quickly, if you've got either Ultimate Add-ons for Elementor or Ultimate Add-ons for Beaver Builder and you haven't updated it during the last, let's say, 5 days, please go and update it immediately. Like, stop watching now and go and update it, because there was an authentication. Essentially, if you use their Facebook or Google authentication, they weren't listening apparently for the token returned. In other words, they weren't waiting to find out, yes, Facebook has authorized you as this person. They were just authorizing you. And the net result of this is you could set up, I think, an admin account. Is that right, Adam? An admin account, and then you're in charge.
Sure, but I think, I think it was something along those lines anyway.
Let's just have a little look.
Yeah, don't really get in trouble.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get it right, wouldn't it? It doesn't say. Anyway,
one might went into it more.
Yeah, go and check it out. Needless to say, they thought this was sufficiently important that they emailed a lot, and they're scrambling to get it right, and they fixed it at the exact same moment that it was announced. So I don't know where the vulnerability was revealed and who revealed it, but
he gives a shout out to Malcare team.
Yeah,
so
he does.
Apparently, maybe they had something to do with it.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Anyway,
interesting that Malcare discovered that, because Nathan, do you remember? No, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, when Malcare discovered some issue with PowerPack. You and I and Clark Marshall, David, we were checking it ourselves, with our own products, and it was Malcare that detected a vulnerability on PowerPack.
I do remember that. Yeah, there were little rogue index.php files all over the place, weren't they? Yeah, I got hosed on one site with that.
Yeah, and we talked to the people at PowerPack, and they acknowledged that and then released the patch and everything, and it was Malcare again that discovered it first time round, so credit to them. I actually just signed up for another 20 sites with Malcare last week, so again, credit to them to give me a good deal. Thank you.
Yay. Anyway, the security advising there is just go and update, basically. There is actually a link in the show notes to the WebArcs article. That was just the first one that hit my email inbox. The Malcare one came later, so I've linked to that.
The most details. Yeah.
Is that the most detailed one? Anyway, there you go. Oliver Sild or somebody, I don't know who wrote that one, explains. Yeah, Oliver explains why you need to update and what happened. So if you want the actual knowledge, go and look at that. We released, speaking of security, very quick self-promotional bit. We released an episode with this chap, Ryan Dewhurst, who I think just sort of goes under the radar a little bit because he's so very nice and humble. He's behind WP Scan, and just for the most amount of time has been giving away his security knowledge for free. We did a podcast with him where he talks about WP Scan and his new paid-for service, wpscan.io. And he's the guy behind the WP vulnerability database. So just really solid guy helping us all. So that's what we did. Anything else? What else have we got? Nothing really. You can win a WP Forms license courtesy of WP Builds if you want a form plugin. They're giving away a pro license at this URL. It's the usual contest. Go and click on the links and whatnot. And the last one I'm going to mention is this one. Don't know if any of you saw this. Compress or Die. Yes.
Compress or die.
Compress or die. This is great. Dragging an image. I've got to do it now, haven't I? Let me just drag in an image. Right, here's an image. Drag it in. Let go. Yeah, it's all right. It's just an old WP Builds one. Check it out. Look at that. So this was a JPEG, and then you can immediately make it 54% of its original size. Go back. Do you want to trim anything? Do you want to crop it? Do you want to blur which kind of compression algorithm do you want to use? Do you want to make it black and white? If so, click the button. It's just great. I really like it. And I don't know who mentioned it to me, but there's a ton of options here. And you've just been watching me do it in real time. So it's dead quick. I noticed, Paul, didn't you mention something about, was it Paul? WP Compress? You just signed up for them or something?
Yeah, I got a good deal from
James.
The coupon from the WP Agency Summit.
Okay.
And so I signed up to WP Compress. I saw actually, Adam, one of your comments somewhere saying how great it was. And the guy, James, who owns that company, owns that plugin. So it's a WordPress plugin for compressing images, but you have a central dashboard. So then you add your site via the central dashboard, and you can see all of the statistics on how well it's been going. So anyone who's got an agency and has care plans, it's really good for that. And you can assign, this site has got 10,000 image compressions. This one's got 20,000. And so, but it's also got the global CDN, so which I think it uses Bunny CDN, so it's got like 10 locations around the world, which is a really good CDN for the images and everything. But I put that on our list to mention because of the compress thing. So what's the website for WP Compress? It's
WP Compress is. I'm bringing it up. It's actually WP Compress. I'm assuming I've got the right one. Pray that I've got the right one. WP
logo's not working. Yeah,
is that it?
Yeah, that's the one.
I've got a incognito sort of browser.
I noticed that because Todd had mentioned in the show notes about the about Jan's WP Agency Summit.
Yep.
Which I know Todd was in, so I'll pass over to you, Todd, on that one. But on there was a 30% discount for all the people who watch the summit, even the people who are watching it for free, for instance.
Nice.
You can get a 30% discount even
cool.
on their lifetime special. So I got a great deal on their lifetime special, really.
The nice thing about this is that it's all automated, isn't it? You upload everything into the WordPress admin area, and it just does it all for you. Does it on their hardware, then sends it back to your hardware, so your server's not like groaning along under the weight of repeated images. But yeah, this Compress or Die just seemed like a good poor man's alternative. Nice free version. But yeah, WP Compress. Go and check out Agency Summit docs, WPAgencySummit.com. And look at some of those videos, and maybe buried in there, I don't know if it's still available, is the 30% off. You were on that, Todd. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. I like talking to Yan. He's a good guy. And he put a lot of work into this, really did. And I hope that it's very beneficial. I've seen some of the comments in the group, and people seem to really enjoy it. Everybody has their favorite video, I'm sure, that they like to listen to. And so I even had a couple people reach out to me and tell me they thought I did a good job. So at least 2 out of 1,000 thought I was good. So I want to say, Nathan, shout out to WP Builds. I won a lifetime copy of Raffle Press, and I just ran my first contest with it. And,
that's what we're using for the one that I just
mentioned about. And it went fairly smoothly. There's probably some adjustments I'd try to figure out how to do. I guess you could do multiple prizes. I think you guys do. Yeah. I see it. It was kind of hard to figure out for me. So I just ran one prize, 3 winners. Autumn Tompkins is a copy editor. She agreed to give away 3 of her copies of her book and signed. So I was running a contest for that. I may go back and run one for some other stuff. So it went pretty smoothly. I really like how everything worked out. I've used the one by Sumo.
Yes, King Sumo.
Yeah, and the better, obviously the free is not as good as the paid. So
that's really cool. I'd actually forgotten that you won it. You won Raffle Press by entering a Raffle Press giveaway, which is kind of cool.
Kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like it. I think it's pretty good. I did notice that my friend Ben, who's also a content writer and stuff, is putting out another raffle type software. So I haven't had a chance to look into it. So that would give somebody, I guess, another option for contests. So
I've settled on Raffle Press because it all just does everything that I want to do. So
I know it's really it really is good, and not too hard to set up. A little bit of a learning curve, but probably I thought it was a little bit easier to figure out than the King Sumo one. Yeah, and everything lives on your site too. Now they may have some
good or bad.
Yeah, good or bad.
For the good and for the bad. Yeah.
But boy, I think because I've been doing a few YouTube videos, so I was like, well, I'll make YouTube subscription one of my, so anyway, we'll see how it goes in the future. I might give away a website copy framework or something through it to see how that goes.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to get the prize into your hands. That's great. That's it. That's all we've got time for. We have overrun. I'm really sorry. We've gone way longer. I'm sorry if either of you are, all 3 of you are desperate to go. Very quickly, take this opportunity. We'll go in order. We'll start with Adam. Anything that you want to tell us, what you're doing this week, where you want us to go to find Twitter, whatever you like.
Yeah, sure. So check out splithero.com. This week we're actually working on a couple of really big features that people have been asking for a long time. So we've actually got a complete new UI and UX flow of creating campaigns in Split Hero that's currently in the works that hopefully will be dropped in the next few days. And we're sort of finishing up on the white label reports as well. People will be able to run things like Split Hero and send to clients and that kind of stuff. So we're busy behind the scenes with that kind of stuff. But you can also get me on Facebook. I'm in most groups, Adam Lacey. On Twitter, we're at Split Hero. But yeah, other than that, I'm sure you'll see me around.
Nice. Paul.
Yep. Just finishing up for the week to get got a few websites to launch. So working on those at the moment as well. And then the main thing that happened this week was I got a bit ill on the weekend with flu, but I watched some really good films, and one of them was called Mid-90s. I absolutely loved it. It's a sort of slice of life film by Jonah Hill, the funny guy who normally an actor, and it's about a kid who make some friends with some older guys who are skateboarders, and it's just one of those coming of age films. It was fantastic. So if you're looking for something to watch, then Mid-90s on Netflix was awesome.
I think you should send Jonah Hill that little brief resume of what he is. You just send you are a funny guy, normally an actor.
Guy in films or something.
yeah, that's great.
He's actually played a character that wasn't so funny one time. He was in what's it, Moneyball? That was called.
Yeah,
and he was not a funny character in that movie. He was very good, but yeah, definitely he's mostly funny. But I like to see when an actor can do both, because it shows some flexibility. Me, I, with being involved in the comedy scene, I do a lot of local stuff. So I've got a meeting here in a couple hours with some people in my leads group. And tomorrow I am meeting with the Tulsa meetup group on Zoom to do a live about page teardown. We'll see how that goes. But that'll be a lot of fun, I guess. I will be working on some changes to the website copy framework, which is the inspiration of one Mr. Paul Lacey, who kicked me in the booty to get that out. So, yeah, that Paul Lacey. Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so easy to get that
one. Look at the mirror here. That guy. Yeah. He pinged me back early in the year and said, you need to, well, I had a series of worksheets I gave out to the agency transformation people and the conference that they had earlier this year. And he got him, he said, you need to make this a product. I go, okay. So I did. I have one of the things I'm going to do is make an agency or white label product or whatever with it, where an agency can buy it and you can brand it with your own agency. So that's in the works. I've had some good feedback with people recently about what to do with it. And so anyway, trying to get there with that. So.
Well, thank you, all three of you, for joining me. I really appreciate it, as always. Stick around. I'm going to put the slide up and mute the mics, but and end it, just to say thank you very much. We'll do this all again next week. And yeah, really appreciate Adam Lacey, Paul Lacey, and Todd Jones. Just so that you know, Adam and Paul are brothers. Right. See you later.
I've always wondered that.